and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. All right, Josh. Now that my bird is, screaming right off the bat.
Yeah, really talkative.
I'm done eating.
No, you're done eating? You're not going to eat during the podcast this time? No. Crazy.
I would never be so irresponsible to eat in the middle of a podcast or drink water or chew on ice. Never.
Or just have ice on the table so it makes a really loud noise when it melts.
Listen, that was not my fault. But what do you have in store for us today? Something about something?
Today we're going to talk about a group of fiends. I said in a previous episode that I would talk about these guys because I kind of wanted to. They're called the Yugoloths. Yugoloths are fiends, sometimes called Daemons or simply Loths. Yugoloths.
Sloths?
No, just Loths. Loths. Not sloths.
Oh, okay. Is there a sloth loth?
Okay.
I take that as a no.
No, it is a no. Yeah, that is the correct way to take it. Yugoloths are weird and ultimately all very different from each other, leading many to believe that they have undergone much crossbreeding and mutation to achieve these bizarre appearances.
So you're telling me there could be a sloth loth?
There could be. Like demons and devils, they have
That's all I needed to know.
Like demons and devils, they have a caste system, and the appearances between the members in each of these castes is unpredictable. The only thing that usually is similar between all of them is, which I say usual because it's not 100% of the times true. Even this could be changed in their natural forms. They smell of brimstone and sulfur.
Wait, they smell like brimstone and sulfur?
Yeah, in their natural forms. And they also...
Why?
It's just a thing about this race. Like, they don't make it up. We don't make it up. Wizards of the Coast makes it up. It's just a thing about Yugoloths.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what their biology is that determines that they smell like brimstone and sulfur and why it doesn't...
There could be numerous problems that they have that, should probably be addressed.
Yeah, normally that's... maybe it's just the cologne they all wear. They all wear this brimstone and sulfur cologne. It's just really popular, young Yugoloths.
Buy your brimstone cologne today.
No.
Smell like a daemon, be a man.
That's ridiculous. Now, they also leave faint ash trails unless they make a conscious effort not to.
That sounds like a personal problem.
It's like Pigpen from Peanuts. They're just constantly leaving this kind of aura of ash behind him. Now, another shared trait...
What would you do if you left a trail of ash wherever you went all the time?
It's only if they don't... I would constantly be making a conscious effort not to. Because they can, if they really focus, they cannot leave that ash trail.
I would just have a broom and a dustpan with me all the time. And I would
you just kind of
walk and
sweep behind you at all times. I feel like at one point you just get a Roomba. Just put a Roomba on a leash behind you.
Yeah, I mean, I picture like the D&D equivalent of a Roomba is like a slug, like a giant slug that eats your ash, and it just like follows you around and eats ash.
It eats your ash? That's gross. I mean, whatever you're into, Aaron. That's no kink shaming here.
No, none at all. I hate it so much.
This episode has gone off the rails so fast.
We haven't even gotten to like 2 sentences into your explanation.
Yeah, we're about 5 minutes in. It's already off the rails. We got an hour. Now
we've got man cologne that smells like brimstone and an ash-eating slug.
Now, another shared trait was that Loths combined some physical features of both demons and devils. That's part of the reason why people think there is crossbreeding, because they are a mixture of both demons and devils. Now, Yugoloths are interesting fiends because they don't really pick a side with the demons or devils, which most fiends are a part of their kind of ongoing war called the Blood War, picking a side between law and chaos, the devils and the demons. Now, they take the Yugoloths look for opportunities for profit and hop in to make a quick buck or advance their own agenda. Then they bounce when things are no longer good for them. Demons and devils are, as I said earlier, fighting an endless war called the Blood War, constantly trying to fully destroy the other. And this Blood War, both sides of it provide a lot of things for the Yugoloths to do and make money and spread their agenda. Now, the Forgotten Realms wiki explains their personality perfectly, so I'm just going to use exactly what they wrote because this is beautiful. Yugoloths were possibly the most selfish beings in the multiverse. Entities of such boundless greed that the possibility of unimaginable torture was not enough to stem their unending cupidity. Said to be the personifications of avarice, the Yugoloths were famous for backstabbing when presented with greater payment than was given by their previous patrons. Naturally, such as self-serving beings were also quarrelsome, regularly bickering and perfectly willing to rip each other's to pieces and sell one another out.
Ah, yes, the classic rip each other's to pieces.
They gleefully caused pain and misery to those around them, often taking the opportunity to indulge in their violent instincts, but always acting in their own best interest. So they're not a great group of people. Probably don't want to make a friend
No.
of the Yugoloth, but they're very intelligent.
I mean,
and they're
making money off demons and stuff.
Yeah, they are, and they also make money off gods and super powerful beings because they're just that intelligent they can trick anybody. Which makes it questionable when humans try to make deals with them, because if they can trick gods and higher powers, who do you think you are to kind of try and get one over on them?
Yes, but the monster is only as smart as the DM.
That is I've had issues with that, where you're like, this person is supposed to be intelligence 24. What does that mean? How do I play that as a DM when I have intelligence 12?
If you normally play as a potato, if you normally play as a potato, you just have to play as like a slightly better potato, you know?
That doesn't make any sense, really. Aaron. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't help anybody.
See, think of it like this way. Okay, if you normally DM like a potato, then you cut your potato into potato wedges.
You are just trying to get potato wedges and... chairs and potato wedges. Man. You just want to get chairs and potato wedges in. Oh, man. I am sorry for everybody listening. So. It's true. We didn't say it last episode. I'm sorry for everybody listening. This is kind of a gone off the rails episode, it seems. Now, the Yugoloth are incredibly intelligent, using deception and misdirection to get their way. As I said previously, they are even so deceptive that they have tricked some of the most powerful beings into their schemes, so much so that they don't even realize that they were deceived. They don't realize they were a part of this grand scheme of the Yugoloth. Now, Yugoloth are driven by their greed, but they are also driven by a pursuit for perfection. Perfection for them is different from how we think about it, though. They see pure evil as perfection, meaning that the ideas of chaos and law are distortions on perfection. So they despise those things.
Wait, they don't like chaos or law?
No, they hate both of them because both of them are distractions from pure evil.
That is really weird.
That is. It really is. They see themselves as the closest to perfection, vainly thinking that they are above both devils and demons, seeing themselves as the only true fiends.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys are crazy.
So they're like worse than demons and devils.
At least they think so. But they're also like hags in a way that that they'll make deals with you to try to like they'll grant you power for things in a way that in a neutral way that is not chaotic or lawful. So
how's it even possible?
I don't know.
Just pure evil intent. That's all they are.
Yep. And seeing evil as perfection, they go out of their way to squash any good that they find.
Wow. Wow, these have to be the worst creatures in D&D, right?
I'm sure there's worse. Currently, Yugoloths, the Yugoloths we have statted for 5th edition are Arcanoloths, Canoloths, Dergoloths, Hydroloths, Morenoloths, Mesoloths, Nicoloths, Oinoloths, Ultraloths, and finally, Yagnoloths.
What's the fox one with the glasses that holds all the scrolls?
Arcanoloth.
Ah, I like that one.
Yeah,
it looks really nice.
Yeah, so they are. I had written out like kind of a description for all of them, but it just felt really crappy. just to go through a list of what they were, and so I kind of cut that out. But the Arcanoloth was. They are the scribes and kind of keepers of knowledge. Their greed is specifically toward arcane power and knowledge.
They sound pleasant. They sound great.
Yeah. They probably are the best one to meet as a person and the best one to make a deal with. They're the only one I've actually seen like in D&D shows, which this one was in Dice Camera Action, that actually saw them try to make a deal with this creature. Now, one interesting thing to
they're foxes. They're foxes with glasses. What could go wrong?
They're jackal heads. They called it war dogs or jackals.
But fox just sounds so much better.
But they don't look like foxes, though. If you know what a fox looks like, they don't look. Listeners, you can look up what Arcanoloths look up, and you decide. Does that look like a fox or a jackal to you?
Okay, he's definitely a little bit more jackally, but I like to think of him as a fox.
Now, one interesting thing
just makes him seem nicer.
One interesting thing to point out is a major ability of some of the Yugoloths is summoning one of their fellow types of Loths for aid. But because of their culture, it is possibly dangerous to do this, because if it makes more financial sense for the summoned Yugoloth to help them, then they will help them. But if they are like too hurt or the enemy is too strong, they will, when summoned, end up aiding the people attacking the summoner.
Wow.
And once they defeat the summoner, they get the people who they just aided to pay them for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting ability because you could use it and it would be helpful, but you could also you have to the whole time be thinking about, like, I'm this weak. If I summon them, can I make it worth their while to help me? Or am I just gonna die even worse?
It turns into a combat of shouting how much money I can give you.
Kind of.
40 gold here.
Now, Yugoloths don't have a full-on leader. There are certain places, like certain enclaves and stuff, where there are Yugoloth groups ruled by Ultraloths, but because of their greed and the way that their personalities are, when they are out and about, it's whatever they want. It doesn't matter who their leader is. Now, I say that they don't have a leader, but there is a being sort of treated like a deity for them. And if it makes a decree, it would be respected by nearly all Yugoloths. Maybe even enough to unite the race and its factions, if something required that. They call it the General of Gehenna, because the Yugoloths are from Gehenna. The General is an enigmatic figure. And what it is exactly is still like up for debate, and people are unsure. But it is said to be a demi-deity level of power, meaning an immortal being capable of granting power, but still one of the lowest levels on the rungs of godhood. Some ideas of what the general was is, first, is the first and strongest Ultraloth, which Ultraloths are like leaders amongst Yugoloth society, or a returned Bernoloth, which Bernoloths are the creators of the Yugoloth race. The general's mythology says he roams Gehenna in a crawling city, making him incredibly hard to find unless he deems it. So, many that have sought him end up either dying or coming back with nothing. But some of them do find him and are granted strength and wisdom.
They like live in a Howl's Moving Castle. That's what I'd do.
Howl's Crawling City. Well, that is all that I thought we needed to talk about for the Yugoloths. So my idea for the rest of our episode would be to create some demons, some fiends.
So what are we gonna do? Like, are we making one? Or are we making a group? What are we doing?
I was thinking like a group, like the Yugoloth, how it's a group of demons, and then we could think about how they work together, where it could be like the Yugoloths, where there's not really something tying them together. They're just their own demon, their own fiends. Because everybody in any game needs fiends. They're gonna run up against demons or devils at some point. It's just such a great group of monsters to throw against people.
So, I guess let's do this. Do you have any ideas of where you want to start?
No, that's why I kind of brought it up with you earlier that we were going to talk about Daemons so that you could help think about this. The only idea I really had was I kind of was thinking about kind of what we made last week and the kind of sea that it's in. And for some reason I had the idea that maybe there isn't a hell in this kind of world we've kind of been making slowly by making different groups, I guess. And maybe the demons are like some sort of tainted creature. Like I liked your idea. It kind of reminded me last week of those like the Titan bodies that when you touched them, you kind of became tainted in that Zeus show, the Blood of Zeus.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking maybe the demons are formed like underwater, or like they're on the material plane. And so I was specifically thinking of some that were in that sea that we kind of talked about last week. But that's just what I had in my head.
Well, I like this idea a lot. I'm thinking more along the lines of like a corruption that like spreads, and these like creatures that come out of it.
Interesting.
So I was kind of thinking like along the lines of there's like a section of the world or a part of the world that has been like completely destroyed by whatever this corruption is. This like slowly spreading corruption that kind of is taking over different parts. And we could even tie it into the sea. Like maybe it's slowly crept its way into the sea. But that's beside the point. But this slowly spreading corruption, and coming out of that and like making its way out of that are these creatures, you know. And you could even like
that's cool. I really like that.
Have these you can have these creatures kind of, because some of these Daemons are pretty smart, right? Some.
Oh, all of Yugoloths are incredibly intelligent, like ridiculously intelligent.
Yeah, because then you can have some that are like infiltrating society, that are trying to like get points of this corruption to be able to spread and move, all sorts of different stuff. So like this whole group, this whole like, I don't want to say tribe.
So maybe people just think of it as like zombies. So they think of like, oh, the only ones that are like outspoken, like that are visibly these demons, are these creatures that live in that kind of corruption. I always I keep thinking corruption to the north. So something in kind of a northern corner of one of the continents. And on that continent, that's where the corruption is. And the demons are these kind of mindless creatures there. So it's kind of a shock when people find out that there are some intelligent ones, like full on able to trick people in society.
No, totally. And then it would be really fun for like the players to run across some of these things. But I'm thinking that this group is their goal, because you said that the goal of these creatures is to spread evil, and pure evil, without chaos, without law, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these creatures are seeking just to destroy everything through this corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And it's slowly spreading and taking over. And in this corruption, you can find all sorts of, because what, demons? Do you pronounce it like normal demon? Or is it
What?
Daemon? Daemon?
Oh,
Daemon.
Daemons. It's Daemon.
Daemon.
Yeah, that's how it
Sounds like a guy's name, you know? Hey, Damon.
Well, I mean, I do know a few people named Daemons, so
Anyways,
it's not out of the question.
The main Daemon's name is Daemon. That's the only name we're ever going to get here on Dungeoneered. Daemon with his army of Daemons.
It's the only name we can ever name another character.
Okay.
Well, I don't really want it to be like Daemon's army. I would prefer if it was like a council. It was like ruled by a council. Like I feel like that would be a better option. Because like when you're trying to level a high level encounter, like because these could be big bads. Like it seems like it's a big bad situation of these guys are trying to destroy the whole world with this corruption. So I think a better choice is a council, because for leveling high level encounters, you want it to be kind of a bunch of high level monsters instead of just one or two. Like I have a level like about 17 party right now that I'm trying to level for, and it's real hard getting those encounters fun, but not they don't not wipe everything out in 2 seconds.
Sorry, my ear itched. Anyways.
Of course it did.
You got me in the silly, man. I lost it. It's too late now.
Guys, this episode is just this is a hard one for us, guys. We're just having a hard time. I don't know why. We just are.
Okay, so I like this idea of a council, but I think first we need to do a little bit more background on this corruption before we kind of dive into this council that has been made, that they've kind of created.
Yeah.
I like the idea of maybe some of these dead Daemons in that, like, the tunnels that we talked about last episode. I like that idea a lot, and I think we should kind of touch in on that. So I think what I'm leaning towards is like the corruption once was a bigger force than it is now, and it's kind of been defeated and pushed back and partially destroyed. But now under this like new council, it's resurfacing.
That is really cool. And I like that there are some stragglers kind of around, like, so some of them would be in the tunnels. Those would be stragglers from their once strong empire that are now disconnected from the main taint. But there are still some that live there because that's all they have. They can't get back to the corruption.
Yeah, and so what I'm thinking, and please tell me if you don't like this. Yeah, so this is what I was thinking, is that these Daemons have already destroyed another plane. So this like corruption, and that's why those portal knights have been going around and like looking for these different portals. So these Daemons have already like corrupted and destroyed different planes. And, you know, you can do whatever you want.
That's really cool. And the next one, they're currently on this plane. They're currently going to destroy this plane.
The next one that they've been unable, the one they have been unable to corrupt so far is this material plane. And so...
That's cool. Did it start like because the demons and devils in D&D have been in a long, long, long war called the Blood War, where literally like everybody is involved in the Blood War. Angels, demons, devils, everything. They all have their own like part to play. And so could it have been like a blood war situation where these Daemons have been in this combat for a long time, this blood war or whatever, and they won, and this is kind of the aftermath of them winning, is that the aftermath is then they took over that plane. Then they went for the next plane and they attacked it and they took it over. And so because they have won that war, this has continued to spiral.
So I'm torn. I'm torn between two things. I'm torn between they have won this war against demons and devils or whatever, and now they're, invading here. But I'm also torn between they haven't been at war with the demons and devils yet because they haven't started to try and corrupt their planes also.
Oh, interesting. So they haven't even touched hell yet. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so it's before the demons and devils and all them have started fighting.
Yeah, I like that.
If we wanted to do D&D lore.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly...
Their first stop is the material plane. they're kind of like making their way to corrupt material plane after, and I don't even know if anybody would know their origins.
I kind of like the idea of the mystery.
So I'm kind of thinking a little bit along the lines of like in Warhammer 40K.
Oh, I said I kind of like the mystery of it. Like nobody knows their origin. But you were saying you kind of like 40K?
Yeah, it was kind of my inspiration a little bit from this, which again, feel free to take anything from all over, any inspiration you can think of. But my inspiration for this was kind of taking 40K and taking the Tyranids, this like devouring swarm that's here to like eat and destroy everything, but kind of more along the lines of this is a devouring swarm here to corrupt and destroy everything.
That's interesting.
So humanity has to like try and survive against this corruption that has taken place.
That's cool. I like that.
And so, like we were saying, the Portal Knights, which we don't have a name for, hashtag Dungeoneered, is they are like trying to stop this from happening. So they've stopped it once and they thought it was over, but now it's slowly resurfacing.
Does the lore of the Portal Knight still remember these demons that were on the other side of the portal? Or is it like it was so long ago that they don't even remember what they defended against?
So I kind of like this as like it's been lost knowledge.
I like that too. And so maybe when a Portal Knight...
And that way the players can find it.
Yeah, and so maybe when a Portal Knight, or maybe one of the players is a Portal Knight, and that would be really fun, and then they're like, I've faced your people before, and they're like, wait, what? And then it's this fun reveal, because the only ones who remember it are the Daemons. And maybe even it's just specifically the Council. Maybe the Daemon Council was during the first war just like basic infantry, and they've kind of moved up over time, and so they were just basic troops at that time.
No, I like that idea, but I'm also you could do. I mean, really, you could do anything. I also like the idea of them like have been mutated and corrupted even worse to like create a stronger scourge, like a stronger corruption. So these like council members are like a new spawn.
Now, are they doing this work on themselves?
Yeah, like they either have survived and have worked and morphed themselves over time and have become these like new creations, these new corruption, and they have slowly taken over. And then they can like, because they're these new entities, you could then theoretically create like fun new stat blocks and stuff for them if you wanted. Just create totally new monsters, because these things are so open-ended that they morph and change so much that you can like create all sorts of cool, weird creatures.
Or you can just use stat blocks that just kind of fit the aesthetic. Like I had he's called the Golden King, and he kind of combined himself with I had entropy as a magical force, like a literal magical force. It's a law of nature, but it's a actual physical magical thing. So he, through this ritual, was able to combine himself with it, but it killed him. But because he was a lich, it didn't fully kill him. And so I literally found a stat block called, I forget what the name is. It's something Lord of Entropy. And it was like, I don't think there's anything more perfect than that, because it was literally supposed to be entropy was the thing that he was combined with. And so there are stat blocks out there that you've never heard of, or very rare, they're not used very much, that are so perfect for different things. And so like this one, because based on what this corruption and taint that we're kind of talking about is, it seems like you could use some undead, some demon, some devil, just like a mixture of all of those kind of stat blocks.
Yeah, totally. Or you can even just take like,
and it would all fit.
Yeah, or you could just take a normal monster and just reskin it. But I like this idea of this newly formed, newly mutated, morphed council that has grown in strength and power and has kind of have grown their powers and expanding the corruption. And so what I was thinking too along this lines is that I don't think it's ever fully gone away. So what I'm thinking is that there's a part of the map that is still under the corrupting effects, but it's been so long since the last, last desolation or last, great corruption or whatever, that a lot of the lore behind it has kind of been lost. So I'm thinking that because this place is so deadly and there's, dangerous creatures walking around it all the time, I'm thinking that there would probably be like some sort of force, like some sort of like ranger force or something that patrols the border of the corruption.
I think I know what the name of this should be. It's the Power Rangers.
Of course, yeah. I mean, obviously, you got the Pink Ranger and the Red Ranger.
Exactly, and they defend the world against this corruption and taint, of course.
It's the Power Rangers. No, but I was thinking like along the lines of like this like force that kind of makes their way and creates expeditions to go in and try and destroy this corruption. And I think it'd be really fun as they're kind of like in this constant battle with trying to get rid of the corruption.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And so if the players ever went there, there'd be like makeshift walls. There'd be like all sorts of this like huge battle line of these rangers, these people who can like move quick and fast, so they know there's an attack coming on, this part of the wall. So they all ride, a couple miles to get to the point where the attack is, or where the corruption's kind of like bleeding over. And so this wall is kind of like this wooden palisade is like jagged and destroyed and morphed and moved to fit points of where the corruption has overtaken. So they had to build a wall along the other lines. And then where the party joins in would be like, these guys have been fully, like, they're getting overrun and overtaken, and these monsters are pouring out of this corruption.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I like that.
You could start, and how I'd even start the campaign would be like the party is in like you remember that little post-apocalyptic like thing that I did forever ago over Discord?
I think we've mentioned it in like 5 of our now 15 episodes. Yeah, I do remember that one, Aaron.
But anyway, something like that, where you start in a town and all of a sudden all these like, tiny little monsters come like pouring in and attacking it, as a guy comes riding through town warning about it, like the British are coming.
I was going to say the British are coming.
That type of thing. I think that'd be really fun.
Which, interesting fact, like I'm forgetting his name right now.
It was Benedict Cumberbatch.
I'm almost 100% sure it's not.
It's definitely not.
All I'm thinking is William Tell, but I know that is totally wrong. William Tell's the one who shot the apple off the head. Who is Paul Revere? There we go. Paul Revere. He only went like a few miles. I forget what her name was, but there was a woman who went like so far, like way farther than Paul Revere, but he's the one who gets the credit for it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I mean, when Benedict Cumberbatch came running through saying the British are coming, you would have, somebody like that kind of making their way through town to warn everybody of these like gray cloaked rangers or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a really fun way to start the campaign. Just this immediate stressor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing is, when I'm doing a campaign, because they're long, the campaigns are long, I like to kind of start out with a teaser, but I don't want it to be that overt of who the big bad's going to be until about halfway through. Then you get a very overt teaser, and then it only comes into effect near the end of the campaign. But they've been working the whole time, and so you kind of see that by the little teasers you've gotten, but you never see like a straight up them at their whole fight at the beginning.
Yeah, but you wouldn't even have to run it like that, though. It's just the town gets attacked by these strange monsters that they destroy, and the town, they help lead the town back to a major city, like the survivors of the destroyed town that no longer is functional.
Yeah.
And that's like the opening quest is like get your people from this small town into the town that was once ruled by a lich that's now in now in that cave that we talked about the other episode. There's levels like 1 through 2, like 1, 2, 3 or something, and then 3 to 6 is in this town, into this city that they've brought their like refugees to, and then they get contacted because they heard about how they've brought in these refugees from the town.
Yeah, that would be interesting, and maybe that's how maybe one of the people from the town had family in the city. And so that's how it connects them with a person from the city, because they're saying thank you. And so they're like, hey, if you want to keep working, we can give you this. And then you just send them on more quests, because then maybe it's diving into the sea. Ooh. Okay, I just thought of a really good way of doing, because we talked about how there was going to be cut off members of the Daemons from when they had a more stronger presence. So there's the ones that are underwater. Maybe they finally maybe the council finally built something or whatever, or was able to establish a connection with these people and told them to come back. And maybe it wasn't even like a full on to these people specifically, but to all the Daemons, kind of a rallying cry throughout the whole continent, saying come back. And so these guys are the ones that lived underwater and have just come up. And maybe this is a small fishing town. And so all of a sudden these creatures start coming from the water to it. And they're not even like meaningly hostile. They're just they just kill what's in their path. And the town was in their path.
Okay, I like this. What if the council, because of their like grown power, has learned to revive dead demons?
Oh, yes, that's cool.
And so they start reviving them at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, so maybe it was they were actually drowned when this kind of sea was created. Because remember how we had the Portal Knights actually create this sea to defeat that.
Right.
And so maybe that was what killed the demons here. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and so now they're kind of like becoming resurrected. Slowly but surely. Like you'd have to like, and they resurrected the CR 1/4 ones first, because they're weaker.
Yeah, and slowly more and more are awakened. That would be cool. That'd be good.
Yeah, and then, we've tied in all of our episodes.
We have. I mean, I don't think we've tied in all of our episodes.
No, but...
we got 3 of them.
But, like, they've slowly began to, like, revive those that have been dead for so long or, who have drowned in the bottom of the sea. And so now...
Yeah, I think that's a good connection point between multiple of our episodes. Well, we have a lot more to go, so let's keep going. Okay, so they have...
No.
The council has awoken these demons, causing the first session problem.
The first wave, if you will. No pun intended.
Yes. So that starts off the campaign. That moves them to the city. In the city, one of the people from the first town that they were in has family there that are divers. They then give you like a diving license and whatever, and you can start. So for the next few levels, you could be diving into these tunnels. Then maybe you discover the whole thing about the Portal Knights and how they created this sea. That maybe gets you to level 5 if you want to do that.
Well, I'm thinking what you would probably do, as my bird flies to my microphone again.
I actually didn't hear the wings at all this time. That was pretty quiet.
Oh, really? Wow. But I'm thinking what you'd probably do is you would do some sort of cover up. So you would make it as they dive through the tunnels that you would divert the campaign to be about something else. So that when you revisit the big bad evil council, it all clicks again as to, this was like at the very beginning of the campaign when these things came out of the sea.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking it was just going to be because their design aesthetic was going to be similar. They were going to look the same, and it was going to be like, wait, these look like those creatures. They act like those creatures type thing. That was what was going to connect it. What's your plan for their connection?
So what I'm thinking is for the plan for the connection would be that instead of going along the lines of like they're reviving Daemons, I'm thinking maybe they have revived one and it's starting to corrupt the sea again. And here's why. So this would be
so there's good, one big one under the sea?
So yeah.
And that's been revived, and that's cool.
And it's starting to corrupt the sea again. So what I'm thinking is that they go down, it's, levels 3 through 8 or whatever, they're in the sea killing stuff, and they finally kill the big daemon. And it seems like it has no connection with it's just this entity has been doing this.
Yeah, with the portals at the end that they have discovered. Yes. It's not like any of the portals. It doesn't have anything related to that, but it's here for some reason.
Right. And so you have a connection, but you don't have like a connection for the players to make yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't ruin the whole big bad evil. And what I was thinking is maybe at the beginning of the campaign, instead of having like CR 1/4, 1/2 Daemons, you have like little corrupted like fish monster people that have made their way out from the sea that are corrupted. And
Mm-hmm.
so then they can immediately point to this creature that was in the sea corrupting things and not the corruption in the north. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so then it doesn't have it seemingly has nothing to do with the corruption up north, but in reality it does.
Yeah, in reality it does. Yeah, it makes sense. That's
So I
pretty
think
cool.
the next thing that we have to ask is how does this corruption work? So how do the daemons make it spread? How does it work? Is it like a sickness? Is it like a
Do you get down with it?
yes, yes, we do. Absolutely.
I'm
No, but
sorry.
how
This has been a bad episode, guys.
like do we want it to be like a plague? Do we want it to be like I don't like how do we want it to work?
I don't want it to be as easily spread as a plague. I kind of want it to be like rituals. So they have to like infiltrate, get the resources, and come and do this ritual in these different cities to cause it to start to spread.
Yeah, or is it like
And so it takes a lot of work and effort.
here's another idea. Or is it like they have to rip a hole in like the fabric to create the corruption to like spill out somewhere, and so they have to do a ritual for that.
Yeah, so it has to be like they have to build like a portal, like in the Critical Role.
Right. Yeah.
How they had to have those little fragments that kind of weakened the veil between the planes.
Yeah,
That's
so they
actually
have to
really
rip
cool.
like a portal to like have it essentially leak out and like corrupt another area. And that's why the portal knights are there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and so they can kind of sense, or maybe they have like a sense or some sort of ability that allows them, like kind of like that ranger ability. Horizon Walker. What's the one to transfer planes?
I think it's Horizon Walker, yeah.
Okay, and so that one of their abilities, instead of being able to detect like aberrations and whatnot, or maybe it's just their favorite enemy within a certain range, they can detect literal like portals. And so maybe instead of portals, it's just weakened connection between the planes.
Yeah, I like this. Do you think it can like spread from human to human? Can like a humanoid perform a ritual to like corrupt someone? Because that could add an interesting element.
Oh, I definitely think they have a few lesser than nice individuals that have actively gone to their side.
Yeah, and have like actively tried to corrupt people. And
yeah, for power. Maybe it's like some wizards,
like fun experiments that they found. Yeah, that have like.
I was like the wizards that are like searching for power so much that people can easily corrupt them by just offering them that power they seek so much. And so there's like one who's like a major kingdom's like head mage, and he's been corrupted because has this want for power, and they offered it.
Oh, totally. I love this kind of stuff. And then like players, if they ever found it, would have a whole like story arc or storyline where this like mage is, taking people mysteriously, or like there's mysterious disappearances in the city, and it leads to this like mage who's trying to corrupt different people.
Yeah, that's cool.
So then once a person gets corrupted, how does it affect them?
Well, I think the infection, it's subtle at first. Maybe it just accentuates like negative traits.
I have an idea.
At first.
What if when you first start getting corrupted, it starts like corrupting your mind. And so like when you sleep, you start having these horrible like nightmares that prevent you from sleeping until you literally start going insane.
Maybe it's literally the effects of the dream spell to begin with, which the dream spell pretty much makes you have nightmares.
Yeah, and it's just like attacking your mind until you finally get corrupted by it and give in to its desire. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, this is going to be a little bit counterintuitive to why we made the council. But what if the corruption was an entity itself? Okay. So there's a corruption that controls and oversees the movement, so to speak, but the entity itself, like the corruption is an entity itself.
Yeah, so the problem with that was more that I just feel like that's too much like your dynasty. Make sense?
Yeah. Yes and no. Because the corruption, like I'm thinking the stuff that like corrupts the ground is like an entity, and it can like move and shift. Whereas The dynasty in my world is a hive mind.
Well, so okay, then what is the demons? Yeah, but what is the demons' relationship to this entity? Is it like worshipped like a god, and they want to spread it throughout the worlds?
I almost like the idea of them like turning it into this, like taking control of this entity and then corrupting it with their own power, and now they've released it onto the land. So the council's still the mastermind, but they have, made a deal or whatever with some sort of, creation god or something, and they tricked the god, and now they have cursed it and corrupted it to essentially be this corruption that slowly takes over the land, as to opposed to what it used to be.
So it was originally this creation god? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it doesn't have to be a creation god, but I was thinking like along
But
the
no,
lines of,
so that was your idea?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I really like that. It's actually really cool that it was this god, and maybe in the same way
something along the lines of something that once brought life, and now it brings corruption because these daemons have like taken it over. And so the party, once they kill the council and destroy, the daemons, they can uncorrupt this entity.
Yeah, that's interesting. I kind of like I like a darker story. So I like, instead of maybe at the end it has a point of clarity, but it never is fixable. It is forever tainted, and maybe it even begs for death at the end.
Yeah, like
because it knows, it knows it's horrible, and it does not like what it has become and what it has been tainted into.
Yeah, it still has a sliver of its.
But maybe it becomes
remaining.
Yeah, and maybe it becomes a like hard choice. The
last sliver of life is like, kill me because I will keep corrupting.
Yes, well, maybe it becomes a hard choice because the original worshippers of it beg the party to spare it and let them try to fix it. They won't be able to, but they want to so bad. And maybe if the party chooses to keep it alive, maybe it becomes a villain in the next campaign because they chose to let it live.
It becomes fully corrupted.
Yeah, because they can't contain it.
So like right now, it's more like being corrupted, in the process of being corrupted. And once the party kills the things that are corrupting it, then they can choose whether or not to save it or kill it based on how much sanity.
I was thinking it was fully. I was thinking it was fully corrupted years ago, long time ago. But there's always been a part of it that still exists, that still is its own original self. And so in a moment of clarity, kind of like a Darth Vader end of his moment where Luke is trying to save him, he has a moment of clarity of like, this is my son, or this is the world I care about in the case of this creation deity. And it begs for death because it does not want to continue what it was doing. But so they have a choice: either leave it with this good original church of this deity because they believe they can still save it, or kill it like it asks.
Yeah, I like that.
But if they let it live and give it to that temple, by the next campaign, it escapes. They were not able to contain it, and so it becomes maybe like a mid-level boss or something.
Or even like the church, when it tried to escape, they mostly scattered it into fragments, and now there's like a few of these like corrupted fragments that are running around the world in the next campaign.
Yeah, something they did to try to save it just shattered it. Because you still have to have them be successful. So you can't have it be the next big bad evil guy is the same big bad from the first one. You want them to have succeeded in what they did, so you can't take that away. So I like your idea of something from the temple like shattered it, something they were trying to save it with. Instead of fracturing the evil from the good, it fractured it completely, leaving these kind of like psychotic pieces of it that have become these entities throughout the world.
Yeah, and I think that would be really fun. So the question then becomes, how did the Daemons originally trick or make a do what they did to this god? How did this happen?
I think it was a Yugoloths situation where they're incredibly smart and incredibly scheming and all these things, and so they had been working on something somewhere, some point of creation they had been working their agenda on for a long time, to the point where then they could, without looking evil, go towards this creation deity and be like, we need help, this has gone out of control or whatever, causing it to come to a plane where they had more power. and they overwhelmed it.
Is it? Yeah. Is it like a? Is it like a? Come help me! Bandits have attacked my family quest, and the god goes and tries and
No, because
helps
I see
save
it
the
as
life that is.
because it's a creation deity. So I was thinking it was something like they kind of spark growth in something like to a dangerous extent to where something is taking over way more than it should have, and like so it looks like it was the creation deity's fault. So they are off put and easily willing to go out of some place that they should not, that they might not originally feel comfortable with, but because they feel like it was their fault, it looks like it was their fault, they will go. And so it's not even like maybe people even haven't even been created at this point. There's no humans or elves, or maybe whatever plane they're on doesn't have any sort of humanoids like that. But something the creation deity made is going out of control because these daemons caused it to.
Okay, this kind of sparked another idea
Okay.
that I had. So you know how a couple episodes ago, I don't even remember at this point, we talked about pantheons and creating like a complex pantheon system.
Yeah.
So what were to happen if, say, like the life god or whatever was
The
betrayed
one of the
by
tree,
one of its, yeah,
one of its followers,
betrayed by its own one of its own like own god brothers or whatever, you know?
And what? So it helped them defeat, or did? Oh, okay, I think I got an idea. So it would be that was a greater deity. This was a lesser deity. That in the same way that we talked about like a powerful court wizard, this thing was promised and granted greater strength that it was not allowed because it was a lesser deity, and so it saw those above it as keeping it down. The problem. They're the enemies. So it saw this tree deity who was greater at the time as the enemy.
Okay. Along these lines, my idea is this. Two gods were feuding that we created in a long time ago. The life god and some other whatever god. One of the gods created an ultimate like corrupting weapon to destroy the life god with. Oh, I even like the Yugoloths created this ultimate like corrupting weapon, and they tricked the
the other guy to use it.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
And so they tricked the god to use it against its own sibling, and they ended up gaining control.
Did it affect both of them? Did it affect the user and the one it was using against, or
no?
Did it kill the one god? Because we wanted to have like the tree be dead and the other one be they both be dead. So maybe it killed both of them, and it killed both of them, but it combined them. I was thinking it killed both of them and combined them into this corrupt. It's a being of two gods. It's this corrupted being, and so it's not just one god of creation. It's both of these two gods now fused together in this horrible abomination,
corrupted together essentially.
Yeah, and so they kind of went insane because they're together.
And then how we were talking about how whatever the god, that traveling god who was putting up points of safety throughout the corruption. There we go.
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah, that's cool.
We just made the corruption. So like these two gods were warring. The Daemons tricked one of the gods to use this weapon because this is the weapon that can kill this god, and it ended up corrupting and fusing them together to create this singular corruption entity that they are trying to use to destroy the world.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like that. Oh, that's awesome.
And so then the whole campaign would revolve around trying to destroy this council, take that like item back that has fused them together and destroy it.
Yeah.
And then
that's cool.
It would shatter the gods and send fragments of them throughout the land.
And that would be the problem for the next campaign. Oh, that's cool.
And so then throughout the next campaign, they can find little fragments of like a corrupted humanoid or whatever, who's like,
and maybe
has no real
it
significance
even like
to the next campaign. It's just in memoriam too.
I mean, it might be like every so often they encounter a creature who is kind of combined with this fragment, and they became more powerful, or they maybe even it's like it becomes like a warlock patron. You connect with this fragment. and they create warlocks
Yeah, I
throughout the
like that
world that
idea
are
too.
now fragmented. And so maybe one of the players could even be these fragment knights or something, some sort of warlock or whatnot created by these fragments.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's cool. Well, I think we can end it there. It might be a little shorter of an episode, but we fought through the chaos that was the beginning
The
and
chaos
middle
and destruction
and
that
near
was
the
this
end.
episode.
And we finally recorded an episode. It just took like multiple hours to record, guys. It was rough.
We started at what? Like we started at 6 and now it's 8:50.
6:30. It's 8:50. We started about 6:30. Yep. This was a hard recording session.
Oh, man, it's all over.
I hope you like it though. In the end, we did create something really cool, and we combined it with a bunch of our stuff, and I that might be the style that we go with. That might be what our show is. I'm inspired by that. Maybe we have seasons, and each season we just create a world, and so we start in the same way we have been with this, and then we create something based off it that is in this one world. And maybe if we get enough viewers, then we release campaign books of each of these worlds.
Yeah, like we just cycle through like different ideas and then build worlds and then go to the next season, go through different stuff, build another world with that different stuff. Next season, go through different stuff, build a world, and so on and so forth.
That's so cool. Oh, that's I really like this. Yeah, that's awesome.
We're growing.
Well,
we're growing.
We are. We're figuring out what this show is, and it's gonna be great. Thank you all for listening and bearing through this episode.
What we're doing though?
No, I don't think that's possible. I think as you said, #Dungeoneered. We're gonna leave things incomplete, and we're never gonna figure out what we truly are. But that's the way that we like it. Shout out to Chairs and Potato Wedges, because we didn't give a good one last time.
The true agent of chaos.
The true agent of chaos. Chairs and Potato Wedges. Thank you for listening. See you next time.
Bye?
I was worried you weren't going to do it this time.